guys can stand right here. Dude, you're blocking my profile. This is my good stuff. Quit taking the shot. Quit taking Jeff, over here. Yes, I don't know. He's asked me to pop out. There we go. You can stand there right on the concrete. What's up? Call me and tell me just 1 second. Oh, okay. Thanks. Yeah, I kind of like this one over there. So I just want to start. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Testing. You're gonna be busy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's gonna be a long one.
What's called the load?
What's that?
It's called the load something. Thank you, guys. You all been driving? Yeah. You going to the next study? Yeah. 15 hours? Yeah. How many hours did you go through? 17. Got it in yet? I got it in. We're trained professionals. 17 hours? Yeah. Hope it's over by now. Thank you. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Here to talk about a wicked snowstorm, as you know, is headed our way. And I'd like to think that we're as ready as we can be. Hope for the best and prepare for the worst. I know that occasionally you think that the meteorologists are crying wolf, but I've been talking to FEMA, I've been talking to my fellow governors. I'm here with James Ravella, Public Safety, Joe Giletti, DOT, Transportation. They've been talking to their counterparts. We're ready for what could be a really rough storm. And I really got to hand it to these guys right here. They're the ones doing all the incredible work. We've got 600 plus snow plows going to be out in the street. These guys say they can go for 17 hours. Are you sure? Ready to go and do what we can. A couple of things you ought to know about. One, as of 6 a.m. Tomorrow morning, no tractor trailers on the roads, period. Get them off the roads. That's going to be true in Connecticut. That's true of our neighboring states. We're coordinating with them as well. I think you know the reason why. We've got to be able to get the snow plows through. They don't need anybody slowing things up. We ought to also have to be able to get emergency vehicles wherever they've got to go. It's an interesting storm. You know, as I learn about it, it's going to be heavy in places, 1 to 2 feet. Just as important is how heavy the snow is. You know, light and fluffy snow is nice for skiers, and it's better on the power lines. But a lot of this is going to be wetter snow, especially along the coastline, especially in southeast and southwest Connecticut. You know, there I can tell you that Eversource has 600 crews ready to go. They brought down spare folks from Canada as well, making sure that we're prepared for the worst. They have another 300 tree teams ready to be able to clear there as well and to make sure we're prepared. It's the heavier, wetter snow that we're the most worried about right now and what that can mean in terms of the power lines. Thankfully, there are no leaves on the trees, so that gives us a little bit of extra capacity and space. If you're worried, you can go to eversource.com. You can find out what the latest is there. Go to 211, dial 211. We have people at the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, ready to, as best we can, to answer your questions. Easier to do it online. And Joe Giletti, what do we call when we got to find out what's going on in the transportation?
cttravelsmart.org.
cttravelsmart.org. You can get cameras. You can see what's going on the roads. You want to know what? Don't go on the roads. Stay home tomorrow. You know, get your iPhone powered up. Go get yourself some Campbell's soup. Find an elderly neighbor that you probably ought to be touching base with, but stay at home. Give these guys a chance to do the work, and then we'll be okay. Thank you. Joe, would you like to say something?
Yeah, few reminders, okay? We've been in contact with all of our neighboring states. Metro North is going to run a very limited service tomorrow. So please use that CT Travel Smart, okay, and find out what's going on. On the other end, that we also know that Amtrak will suspend service as of their last train tonight and will not be operating tomorrow. So we also want to make you aware that the buses will all be shut down tomorrow as well. So in terms of normally I'm turning around saying look for alternative means of transportation in. There are not going to be alternative means tomorrow. All systems will be down with the exception of Metro North running a limited service. The other thing that I'd like to impress on everybody is that, you know, if we start seeing that we're hitting this storm hard, every time we've gone into this, I've pointed out that we've had our trucks hit because they go at 35 or 40 miles an hour. I need people to be very diligent, stay off the roads if you can. This is supposed to be a very nasty storm that at the end of it, the temperatures are going to drop. We're going to have to go from plowing to cleaning it up and pulling the snow out. Cut our workers a break. You know, they've all come back in. We've had a lot of people that were out because of COVID. They came right back in as soon as they could because we have a dedicated workforce, and I appreciate the governor's kind words about acknowledging what goes on here. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Both on the emergency management side and on the public safety side, Colonel Malikas will have all his troops fully staffed and prepared to assist any DOT or any motorist that's on the road. But we also stress, stay home, please. Keep the troopers out of harm's way and let them do the job assisting everyone. On the emergency management side, it's also important to realize that our regional coordinators are in constant contact with our local emergency management directors. And with that, we will handle any calls for state assistance and we'll funnel them through the regional coordinators. We've been at this for a couple days right now, and considering COVID, we've been up virtually for quite some time, and the relationships and the contacts are already in place. Our National Guard partners are also in place to assist if needed. And as far as the emergency management side goes, the EOC will be open on a limited basis tomorrow, and will be more virtual, but will be available to field any requests for assistance. So thank you very much.
Any questions?
Commissioner Giletti, speak to staffing. How are we looking tomorrow with the route recruitment and with COVID?
So the question is, how are we looking with staffing in terms of the COVID? And you also gave me a chance to go and say it's CT Transit and ctrail.com to go and check on our buses and to go and check on our trains. In terms of the staffing, we're down about 30%, which means that not only, you know, are we bringing in the contractors, but normally you've heard us talk about the fact that if it's coming down at 1 inch an hour, that we can handle that going through. We're getting projections right now that this storm could be coming in at 3 to 5 inches an hour. Okay, if that's going on, we will not be able to keep up with that. So with the 30% that's down, the good news is that out of all the COVID that I've been reporting in the past, we only have about a dozen of those absences that are because of COVID right now. So we're in good shape because of the people that are here. But yeah, I've told you before, it also depends on the length of the storm, because these people have to keep circling and going back out on the routes. So that's what we're looking at, is how we're going to be able to handle that.
Commissioner, can you talk about any treatment of the roads that is already taking place today?
In terms of the cleaning of the roads today, I would turn around and say to you, for all of you who saw it before we started coming down with the snow, you saw that we still had a lot of salt on the roads from the last storm. That has helped us on this. So we're, that in effect worked as a pre-treatment for what's going on. And what you'll see around us right now is all of our trucks being loaded with the salt. Okay, I told you before that there's computers in those trucks. It'll tell them exactly how much of a mixture that we're going to put down on the road as we're plowing, and that will continue all the way through the night and all the way through tomorrow, because the latest we got is that it's going to be very heavy around 9 in the morning, and we could be looking at blizzard conditions as far west as New Haven.
Commissioner, can you talk about dimension? Can you talk about how many trucks will be out there? How much salt we'll have on the roads?
Yes, I can tell you we as a DOT will have over 700 trucks, okay, over 600 trucks, I take that back, over 700 employees. That's without the contractor trucks. Paul, do you want to turn around and tell them how much we're going to have in terms of salt out there? I didn't go and look that one up before we came in. Paul Rizzo?
So how much salt? So we have 48 maintenance facilities around the state and about 78 salt sheds. They're all up to capacity. We have about 86% of our capacity right now. So when it comes to amount of materials, we have plenty of materials to get through this storm and any foreseeable storm. We are not having any problem with material deliveries at this time.
Paul Rizzo, RIZZO, and you are?
Bureau Chief of Highway Operations. Thank you.
Can you discuss a little more, can you provide some more details on the tractor trailer van? I believe you said 6 a.m., I wasn't quite sure on the time.
100,000 tons of salt, by the way. That's a lot of salt in preparation. The tractor trailer ban, Paul, we've been coordinating with our neighboring governors. We've been making an announcement today. As of 6 a.m. tomorrow, no tractor trailers on any of the major roads, period. Stay home.
New York, Massachusetts, what states?
I've certainly talked to Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Anybody else?
You want to do it? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Emergency management, Paul, has talked to different states, predominantly Massachusetts and Rhode Island, who will be probably hit harder than us, that are all planning different processes as they move. Rhode Island will probably talk about a truck ban very soon.
And will you have extra troopers on the road? I was tweeting earlier, so maybe you mentioned that. Will there be extra troopers on the road?
There'll be plenty of troopers on the road. All the barracks will be fully staffed, Paul.
Do you foresee other travel advisories being possible given the conditions and the staffing shortage beyond the tractor trailer truck ban?
We're going to wait and see the severity of the storm. There's always a possibility that cars we keep off the roads as well. Right now, I just implore people to use their common sense and stay off the roads.
What about the airport? The airport.
You have that? Is there a new airport?
Yep. Bradley's going to make that determination today. We are hearing that most of the northeast, the Boston area, and the Providence ones will be closing.
Do you have any sort of framework for tomorrow, what we can expect, updates, anything of that nature?
Go ahead.
We have a series of briefings, not only later into today, but to tomorrow and to Sunday. Those briefings consist of not only our regional coordinators with our local EMDs, but they'll also be with the governor and the leadership staff, and particular bigger departments, state departments that might be affected.
And are those going to be just for that management team, or will you be doing something like this?
These will be planned for some time tomorrow, but we don't have the cadence yet.
Thanks, everybody.